self-gratification and probably for whatever else goes along with the job. But not everybody. Some, yes. The same thing with the judges. You know, I've known some judges who I thought were awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. And how did they get the job? They couldn't make a living on their own, and they knew somebody, or they were willing to spend money on a political campaign. Doesn't make them great judges. And there's some fabulous judges who will work until midnight every night. My friend Judge Cato will stay up all night looking at documents because he's got to make a decision, and he takes it very carefully and he takes it very personally. And there's a guy that's in it for the right reason too. So I don't want to be too overly cynical about who's in politics.
Well, it's not everybody, Judge, but I mean, they're you know, these people are lifetime politicians. They're professional politicians. I think that's what Mr. Stone was talking about. He even mentioned Mitch McConnell, you know, and in the same breath as Harry Reid, that they're in it together. I do believe that. I think there are a certain type of mentality out there in Washington. Listen, nothing gets done. I mean, all they do is feed off of our taxpayer dollars, and we reelect them, and they get the cush jobs. Nothing gets done. And I do believe that there is some sort of big political conspiracy going on.
See, I personally think that this whole Stormy Daniels thing was created for the purpose of throwing rocks at Trump, or to find something, or to get Cohen to flip, or whatever it is. That's what this lawsuit is about, in my opinion. I don't know enough about the facts, but I know enough about the law, and I read the briefs, and it seems to me that somebody wants to get to somebody else, and this is the way that they've chosen to do it, plus the personal attention that the lawyer's getting.
Yeah. Why do we even care about Stormy Daniels?
I don't.
I mean, who cares about him having sex with Stormy Daniels? And I mean, is it because the payoff, Michael Cohen paid her off? That's the whole basis of it?
I was going to ask Stone if he thought that paying off a witness or paying off somebody who could do you some damage in terms of an image would be okay. I didn't get to ask him that question, but I wanted to. I was going to. And
he seems pretty reasonable.
He does. You know what? I was very surprised. I didn't know much about him other than what I've been reading and hearing, and I looked at his book. I think he makes some very good, valid points on some things. Not all things.
Well,
I don't agree with everything he says.
Of course not.
But certainly he makes a valid point about some of the things that he's raised. We are in a political struggle, and this is nothing new. Machiavelli may have been right. He's not around these days, so we can't ask him.
Not?
Well, he may be. He looked a little like you, right? You know that?
With my haircut?
I saw it with the haircut. The haircut's changed the whole image. I'm looking at a guy. I'm saying, who's this guy sitting across here?
Do I look better or worse?
I think you look good. You look nice and clean cut.
Yeah, somebody told me I look 10 years younger. So
you do.
So, do I?
Yeah, you do.
So I look 46 instead of 56?
You know, if we could figure out, if hair did it, I'd be out at Bosley or something. You know, hair doesn't do it.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. But anyways.
Maybe.
But you did a great job with talking to Mr. Stone and his book, Stone Rules. By the way, he didn't mention it, but Facebook has barred his book from being advertised on there.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Why?
Well, of course. I mean, he's controversial.
Controversial is what we're all about in this country.
I know, but that's what he told me. I interviewed him on my Controlled Chaos radio show a couple weeks ago.
Did it make it more controlled?
It was out of control as normal, my show. But he did tell me that, you know, his book is not available on, I guess, on Amazon or anything. You got to go to his website, Stone Rules. I think it's Stone Rules. Just look up, Roger Stone, and you can find the book and things like that.
I was going to ask him about the tattoo that he has of Nixon on his back.
No, you weren't.
You told me that.
I told you to do it. You did it.
I thought it would change the tone of the interview.
You're a judge. I mean, I'm a goofball. You're a judge. You know, you have different questions to ask. You asked some really pertinent questions, and I thought that was very cool. And who's behind the conspiracy? I thought that was very cool.
You'll notice how he dodged the one question about the conspiracy.
Yeah.
He dodged it. He wouldn't answer that question. Oh, I think about the Russia thing. I'm not sure which question it was, but he didn't answer it. He absolutely.
He said, "Well, we don't talk about hypotheticals."
Right. That's what he said.
That's what he said. So,
but that's what we do in court. Many cases are built on hypothetical questions.
Really?
Every expert is asked, "I want you to assume this. I want you to assume this," and you could read. I've read hypotheticals that took me 20 minutes to read the hypothetical question. You read it.
Really?
And then you say, "Based on these hypothetical, what is your opinion? And they give you the opinion. Oh, yeah, the opinion is such and such and such and such. The cross-examination, for those of you who are interested in litigation, is basically, if this fact came out and that fact came out and it wasn't true, that means the hypothetical fails, right?
Right.
Yeah, if the hypothetical fails, doesn't that mean that the opinion at the end of the day fails? That's the same as circumstantial evidence. If you've got a chain of circumstantial evidence and a couple of things fall out, the conclusion falls out too. And that's what good lawyers will do, good cross-examinations, just to knock holes in some of the story. You don't have to knock it into all of it. Just get some of the foundational things out of the way so you can argue that the conclusion is not supported by a completely solid hypothetical circumstance.
I didn't know you could do that in court.
Yes, you can. In fact, you do. That's what you do. With experts, you do that all the time. That's litigation 101.
Okay.
When I teach kids or young lawyers how to try a case, I make sure to tell them, get that hypothetical, because the importance of the hypothetical is not that you need to read it all. It's just the jury is hearing it like it's a closing argument. You're assuming that what you're saying, assume that the light was red, assume the defendant was traveling at 40 miles an hour, assume that such and such happened and whatever it is. What's your conclusion? Well, what has the jury heard? They heard your closing argument.
Right.
As long as you can support all of the facts in the hypothetical. If you can't, you look pretty stupid. You do. That's when people, they puff up the game. And what happens is when they do that, it affects the outcome. I had a guy who testified and testified and testified about facts which turned out to be not true. And what do you think I did in the closing argument? I pointed out all the facts that were not true that he based his conclusions on, and it beat him. We won that case. For a terrible client, by the way.
Oh, another guy you didn't like?
KCAA.
This is the guy that paid the guy to set the fire where the guy went poof.
Oh, yeah.
That's the guy.
Oh, that's the guy?
Yeah, that was the guy. you got to be very careful. That's another reason why you don't put your own clients on as defendants in a criminal case. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
It's the same reason. You don't want to get caught in something that you can't explain.
Let me ask you a question.
You can ask me many as you like.
What about this, sort of going off, the beaten path. The Supreme Court just sort of made a decision on the guy who made didn't want to make the wedding cake.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
So they said, I guess they said it was a very narrow decision. Can you explain what a narrow decision is and what that means in the Supreme Court? Because I thought when I read about it today, I was like, oh, so anybody can refuse somebody if they don't want to do something because of the religious beliefs or whatever. But it's a narrow decision. So what does that mean?
Well, first of all, we operate the legal system on a concept known as stare decisis. The previous law governs other cases that come along that are generally identical.
Okay.
And a lot of cases, the facts are slightly different. And in opinions, they oftentimes do what we call distinguish the case from other cases. And that's what good lawyering is about. You pick the cases that look like they support your position. The other side picks the cases they think supports their position. And some neutral, like me, decides which side to accept. And using the burden of proof, of course, to decide which way to go. The fact of the matter is a narrow decision means they're going to limit it to the facts of this particular case.
And that's it.
So there's no more bakeries that are going to refuse to do what they're doing. But the opinion, which I believe was written by Justice Kennedy,
yes,
is basically you got to keep in mind people's religious beliefs. If he didn't want to sell it to them because that was something that he didn't believe in and it bothered him a lot,
right,
you got to keep that in mind. However, as a general principle, people are entitled to the equal protection of the law and a variety of other things. I don't think this decision is going to make much difference at the end of the day, because most cases will be different, whether it's delivering flowers or whatever.
But can somebody say, hey, I don't want to, because of my religious beliefs, I don't want to deliver flowers to them, or I don't want to
maybe
the flower.
Maybe. I think that may be true.
It's just interesting. That's why
I think that's going to be cited as authority in many other cases in the future. People will be out of the delivery business. If they want to be, they can deliver to whoever they want. It has to do with business. I haven't read the opinion, so I really can't tell you.
Well, maybe next week we can talk about it, because when I heard
I'll read the opinion.
Yeah, because when I heard narrow decision, I was wondering what the hell that meant.
That's what it means. Okay. Distinguishable.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. Great job today.
Yeah, it was just fun.
I'm cool.
I enjoyed this. It's not often you get to talk to somebody who's rubbing noses with the president.
Exactly.
And he's not going to bite her lip.
I am not going to apologize anymore either for anything I did. All right, we got to go.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
All right, listen, if you want to email the judge and ask him any questions, go to askjudgeherb@gmail.com and get his book From the Trench to the Bench on Amazon.com. And we have YouTube videos out, too, on where's that at? Where are the YouTube videos? On YouTube. All right.
It's on YouTube.
Okay, we got to roll. All right, Judge.
Okay.
Great job.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-643-6931 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-643-6931 to take your call now. Call 1-800-643-6931. That's 1-800-643-6931. Again, 1-800-643-6931.
Look around your office. Is it time to change things up? Start a new home office or reorganize your professional office space? Visit Office Furniture Outlet in Corona and you'll feel great. With a huge inventory of both new and pre-owned office furniture, you can buy, sell, or even trade to get the job done. Office Furniture Outlet in Corona will get you looking and feeling good, and that simply means success and great business results. From executive office collections to home office options, you can find exactly what you need at an affordable price. Office Furniture Outlet. They have desk selections that range from modern and contemporary to traditional and elegant. With a large selection of sizes, finishes, and styles, you can design an office just the way you need it. An office you can be proud of. The Office Furniture Outlet in Corona is just south of the 91 freeway in McKinley at 284 DuPont Street, or visit OFOUSA.com. That's OFOUSA.com for the Office Furniture Outlet in Corona today.
Life insurance is one of those subjects that many people want to change the subject rather than admit they probably don't have enough. That's why State Farm Agent Joe Amlani in Redlands focuses on how the benefits of life insurance actually live on by asking people to think in terms of life without having to sell the house insurance or life without having to give up college insurance. Find out how the benefits of life insurance can live on for your family. Call State Farm Agent Joe Amlani in Redlands at 909-894-4619 and put the life back into life insurance.
The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is home to some of the best bargain shopping in the region. Citywear, Style for Less, and Dollar Tree, to name just a few. Friendly shop owners and staff are waiting for you to stop in for the many specials and bargains they're excited to share. The Tri-City Shopping Center is located just off I-10 between Alabama and the Tennessee exits in Redlands. Make it your home for all your shopping needs, and you'll know why the Tri-City Center is called the Mall with a Heart.
Success Partner presents the all-new Yucaipa and Calimesa Morning Market, located on the corner of County Line Road and California Street in the city of Yucaipa. This all-new neighborhood farmers market is open from 8 a.m. to noon on most Saturdays and carries some of the freshest produce in the Inland Empire. The Yucaipa and Calimesa Morning Market now open on most Saturdays at 13669 California Street in Yucaipa. 13669 California Street in Yucaipa. More information at 909-222-9293. That number again is 909-222-9293, or email successpartner@live.com. The all-new Yucaipa and Calimesa Morning Market, now open on most Saturdays in Yucaipa. Presented by Success Partner.
KCAA Loma Linda, your CNBC news station, where your business comes first.
You tuned in to IE Radio on KCAA.
Baby!
What's hood, y'all? My name is Heavy the Homie. You are now tuned in to IE Radio with your resident DJ, Nappy 2000.
We was hustling, trying to make it out. Me, my nigga, Nick CD, Leroy, and Belaz, I proceed to hit them beats. I had to think it out. I'm rolling through the trenches, with the windows down. Hop out the car, now I sent toes down. We was blowing it loud, but please don't make a sound. Little nigga trying to judge all up in the town. So we can sip this Henny, we can smoke this. Yeah. And still have some G's, that's the American dream. American dream. It ain't as real as it seems, but I'll be here till I die, floating. Floating, 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 flowing like the ocean. Sometimes we sip that purple potion. Need to slow it down, baby. Pick it up, now drop it down. Radiant, like I'm sending it now. Radiant, like I'm sending it now. Radiant, radiant, like I'm sending it now. Radiant, 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 yeah, radiant. Like I'm sending it out. That radiant, yeah, radiant, yeah. Money on my mind, think about it all the time. To enter the void, you gotta lose your mind. Everything else will come with time. Rise like the sun, never sleep like the moon. I ain't afraid of my demons, I like the darkness. Infatuation. Hold it now, I'm floating now. Feel it now. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Drop it down. Rise like the sun, like I'm sending it out. Hold it now, I'm floating now. Feel it now. Pick it up, drop it down. Rise like the sun, like I'm sending it out. Flowing like the ocean. Sometimes we sip that purple potion. Need to slow it down, baby. Pick it up, now drop it down. Radiant, like I'm sending it now. Radiant, like I'm sending it now. Sending it now. Sending it now. Radiant, radiant, like I'm sending it now. Radiant, 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 yeah, radiant. Like I'm sending it out. That radiant, yeah.
That song you just heard came from the homie Dante Lee. That track's called Radiant. Shout out to the homie Dante Lee. Shout out to all the listeners out there. Once again, you're tuned in to IE Radio. My name is Heavy the Homie. On the ones and twos, Nappy 2000. This next track is called Building Blocks, and it comes from the East of the River Network family. This is Hollow Visions, Mad Max, and Don't Sleep. Once again, Building Blocks.
Got a few friends, but who you trust? Hey, yo, that's a question worth $1 million. You segregated by publicity stunts. The world is yours, you ain't giving no fuck. Got a few friends, but who do you trust? Yo, that's a question worth $1 million. You're segregated by publicity stunts. The world is yours, you ain't giving no fuck. Genius be the man that started building the blocks. All a part of the plan when tricks get hot. Offset the balance when you figure the plot. Why you really think these public figures get got? Yo, it's the gospel, 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 gospel. Streetwise, something you are not, dog. Spitting testimonial raps up in God's palace. Escaping out my mind to find a better balance. Ghosts and smoke, finding from God's chalice. I've been itching at the skin, I'm at a loss for these words. Gotta find a space where I exist, lost in this mix. Drinks got me slurring, it's an awesome eclipse. Inebriated trips, I'm in the north full of business. Got me thinking about this rap shit. Is what I'm doing enough? Am I peaking on my talent? Is my musical up? Do I feel it enough? Do I really know my soul and is it pretty enough? Got a few friends, but who do you trust? Ay, yo, that's a question worth $1 million. You segregated by publicity stunts. The world is yours, you ain't giving no fuck. Got a few friends, but who do you trust? Yo, that's a question worth $1 million. You segregated by publicity stunts. The world is yours, you ain't giving no fuck.
They say learn what you can from the ones who offer lessons. And if you watch out, man, it starts to make sense. It's all about power. Who first, who second? I done seen a saint turn into a snake in a second. Told me all it took was a yes from the clergy. It's told me had the juice and somebody else was thirsty. Only sure thing on my mind, feeling worthy. Ask why the ones closest to you knew you dirty. Real shit, guess I gotta vaccinate. After that, stash away the fame and all my accolades. Acting like a mess, like a mess, like a masquerade. Like I have half a brain, laughing at him cause the mess is thinking the exact same. Who's to blame cause I'm going out for self though? Is it the city filling me up with the doubts now? Think it's really just the plenty times I've dealt with the scoundrels. So I'm gonna download till I'm out strong.
Got a few friends, but who do you trust? Ay, yo, that's a question worth $1 million. You segregated by publicity stunts. The world is yours, you ain't giving no fuck. Got a few friends, but who do you trust? Yo, that's a question worth $1 million. You segregated by publicity stunts. The world is yours, you ain't giving no fuck.
Tears for the times that you smiled in my face. Frontin' like you on my side, but give so much hate. R's for reality, reminding me randomly that I can't trust this soul, dog, not even family. U is for the way you try to play me unusual. Had it back fully, that's the day they start using you. And you already know what S is for. Super simple, snake silly, ain't no need a metaphor. Yeah, the second T is for the time it took me to take it to the top level, got the pot cooking. Remember days when they were not looking. Devil on my shoulder ranting, got me active, so do not push me. Skip the introduction, you already be knowing. They claim they're loyal to the game, but they really won't hear it. I trust them all about as far as I could throw them. So I don't need a norm to know. I don't need a norm, let's go.
Got a few friends, but who do you trust? Ay, yo, that's a question worth $1 million. You segregated by publicity stunts. The world is yours, you ain't giving a fuck. Got a few friends, but who do you trust? Yo, that's a question worth $1 million. You segregated by publicity stunts. The world is yours, you ain't giving no fuck.
This next track comes from the homie MC Life, featuring Mondo the DJ. Shout out to Grizzly State. This one's called, of course, All This Time I'm Wasting. Once again, MC Life, Mondo the DJ. This is IE Radio. Let's go, y'all.
It's like all this time I'm wasting, all this time I'm wasting. Got me looking in this mirror at this person I was facing. I was stuck up in this spot, so in my head I heard that voice. I can't help to think, what if I had this other choice? What could I have done? What type of kid I could have been? All this negative type of thinking got me closer to the edge. Close my eyes until I'm dead, until they call it off. And y'all don't want to see me rise unless I'm hearing down the falls. That one always got me when I'm spitting in the lot. I think of all the people in my life I once forgot. Laying at the bottom, always looking at the top. And stop stomping on my dreams at the time I play the part. I'm always on the scene, so when I step I'm half as smart. I had to replace the hate with love, and this is where I start. And it's the drama filled with days, the money that you paid. You might have had some questions, but I had not much to say. All this time I'm wasting, all this time I'm wasting.
Can you feel it? Feel it?
All this time I'm wasting, all this time I'm wasting.
Hold your breath and relax.
All this time I'm wasting, all this time I'm wasting.
Doing my thing.
All this time I'm wasting, all this time I'm wasting.
Can't doubt a man with a plan.
It takes a lot for me to say this on this track. For everyone who doubts me, I hope it hits you back. I hope you got a record deal, and I hope you fall and crash. I hope you got an STD from shaking someone's hand. I'm standing on the stage, I'm flipping off the trap god. I'm asking you for change because I never got no jobs. And what was I supposed to do, and who was I supposed to call? Last year I was with the crew, and last year I was with the cause. It's kind of funny how I bought into the things they do, cause I was stuck with them until I disappeared with you. You took up all my time, gave me hope and gave me shine. Music was the medicine for everything I want in life. It's like my wife, it picks me up when others put me down. I grab the pen and pad and I tell you how I'm feeling now. I heard you left the other day when I was not around, and now the drummer kicks the beat whenever I'm in town. All this time I'm wasting, all this time I'm wasting.
Can you feel it? Feel it?
All this time I'm wasting, all this time I'm wasting.
Hold your breath and relax.
All this time I'm wasting, all this time I'm wasting.
Doing my thing.
All this time I'm wasting, all this time I'm wasting.
Can't doubt a man with a plan.
Getting older, I've been everything but sober. My temper getting hotter and my heart is growing colder. The weight of all the world on my shoulders, heavier to hold up. But I'm still trucking best and western weaponry. Paralyzed and pedigree, propelling through this energy. Mixing them with some lemons that's in their chest like some pheasant meat. What you telling me? Loyalty isn't everything. Now they listen. You think I'm being different since I distanced you from destiny? My legacy, my mission. The acquisition of acquaintances is half the living. The other half is trying to get it. Unappreciated, overworked, underpaid, underrated, always faded. Man, I'm stuck in my ways. Tongue hold the truth, real runs in my veins. I say what I mean, always mean what I say. Practice what I preach, but I'd rather play for keeps. Rather make some family, the breaking enemy. You wait for my defeat for I ever take a lead. But I'm taking no L's. If you hate me, oh well. Thinking don't fail, living in my own hell. What's done is done. I'm the one that I've become. Get the Cuban necktie, yeah, forever hold your tongue. Like Truman did the Japanese, and all the years about inhabitants, I catch you mad disease. Basically explosive. Basically the king who LeBron see the rings, glass table with no coasters. Shape shifting, making changes how I came to be. Think it's different phases, but I'm saying it's the same to me. Only switching modes in my zone, never danger free. Hey yo, this what you came to see.
You just heard Changes. That song comes from the homie Murky Murk. Shout out to the homie Murk. I think he's still out in Texas. This next song is a classic, y'all. This one comes from the Visionaries. Shout out to our guest of the night, Tumex.
I'm not the only person that's able to read the letter on your face, son. I'll make an alternate ending. It would all be worth it if I were to fall for defending the love on my 12 inches of love that's unselfish, above all the hellish because of your well wish. Always here. I even wrote the song. Time we share. And if we can't say love, will prevail. Love will overcome. Evil will fail. And if we can't say love, always here. I even wrote the song. Time we share. And if we can't say love, will prevail. Love will overcome. Evil will fail. And if we can't say love,
it all starts with job love. Eradicate the hate. We got a Phillips head in a case for your screw face. Brought a new pace. Embrace grace. Cut the chase. Know our place in a world of anger with piles of waste. We're some do-gooders with the filtration. We're Mexican, Islander, Euro, African, Asian. Celebrate creator before creation. Division we're erasing.
Patiently, taking all day waiting for the confrontations, the cease in the nations to do as we've done. Replacement killers love a good fight, a good night kiss takes the queen but protects the king's life. While worldwide peace is just a figment, and now is where we're living. We can hold on to the vision, do our ancestors right by our decision. Thanksgiving to the most for the host of believers in this ghetto child's achievements through all of the bereavements. We are
always here. I even wrote the song. Time we share, and if you can't say love, will prevail. Love will overcome. Evil will fail, and if you can't say
life is love, my wife is love. Impossible not to write this love and fight this love, but to fight the what's inside my blood and beliefs. Passed through my ancestry and family tree, from my grandparents to my parents to me. Help me get through the dark when I could barely see. Thank you for taking care of me and caring for me. This one goes to those who show us LOVE.
Don't stop saying what? Love. I'll say it with you. The music that we make and working out the kinks and issues. I'm seeing how the scene needs variety arts. Just applying good ethics, and love is where it starts. Gotta love though. From musicians to the fans, walk a life in many circles, understood in many lands. Feels good where I stand, much higher to go. Take the time to say peace. See you at the next show.
See you at the next show. Always here. I even wrote the song. Time we shared, and if you can't say love, will prevail. Love will overcome. Evil will fail, and if you can't say love, always here. I even wrote the song. Time we shared, and if you can't say love, will prevail. Love will overcome. Evil will fail, and if you can't say love, I even and justice and even.
You tuned in to IE Radio on KCAA.
Baby!
What's hood, y'all? Once again, you're tuned in to IE Radio. My name is Heavy the Homie.
Nappy 2000.
And as promised, we have our special guest, the one and only, Tumex.
What up? What's cracking, man? Thank you for having me always.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate y'all, you know what I mean?
Thank you for coming down.
I appreciate y'all having me all the time, man. Much love.
Blessings.
Most definitely. For people who don't really know your discography, let's start from ground zero. Where did you start, and what city did you come from, and what got you into music?
I was born in East LA, California, and I'm from Mid-City though. Mid-City LA, where rappers like Merce and Rocka from Dilated. My first group was called A Mexican Descent. We formed in 1992, and that's the same year that I started going to the Good Life Cafe and started making music, man. My first album with Cholo Lancinco of Mexican Descent was called Éxitos y Más Éxitos in 1997.
Okay.
And that was put out by a label called Nerve Deafness, which was funded by Rocka from Dilated Peoples. Mm-hmm. And after that, I met these brothers called the Visionaries.
Right.
And I started with the Visionaries. We put out a record called Galleries, and Visionaries put out 4 albums. And then from there, from right when I started putting out albums, man, it was all off to the races. Once I figured it out, it took me about 4 or 5 years to like work on music, make demos, feel like you were good enough to be dope, you know?
Yeah.
And then after that, we just started making records, and then it was on, you know?
Yeah. So from what, 1992 to maybe 97, you were trying to get everything together?
From 92 to 97, I was in my bedroom, just writing raps, trying to learn, going to open mics, learning how to freestyle, because I didn't know how to freestyle, you know what I mean? Like learning how to perform. The Good Life was a good spot that taught you how to perform and shit, you know what I mean? And just kind of getting well-rounded. I started learning how to play in front of hostile crowds and all that stuff. And then the more the more you do it, the more it pops off. The internet wasn't what it is now. So there was no like YouTube videos, there was no like internet fame like that, you know what I mean? It was more like just word of mouth and underground shit, you know?
Yeah, like, oh, this person's coming, so you have to pull up or you're gonna miss it.
Back in the day, it was a little different, like if you sold out one show, you would get a record deal when you got off stage, you know what I mean? It was like way different back then, you know what I mean? So yeah.
So for people who don't know what the Good Life Cafe is, what exactly was that?
The Good Life Cafe was it's from 88 to roughly 93, 94 on Crenshaw and Exposition in South Central was an open mic workshop that existed, and it happened every Thursday from 8 to 10, and it was only from 8 to 10, and the place only held 75 people, but 300 to 800 people would go every Thursday.
Right.
And that's where groups like Freestyle Fellowship, ACLO, and Jurassic 5, Medusa, Volume 10, Hip Hop Clan, CVE, a lot of groups. It's like a training ground. And
Right.
so me and my first group of Mexican descent, we would go there and learn how to rap, man. Like we were like learning how to perform. And that place right there turned into the Project Blowed, which was an extension of that on another level. And because of rappers like Freestyle Fellowship, Micah 9, and some of the OGs, they opened the doors for people like me to start traveling. And because of ACLO and all those brothers, you know, I got to go to like 23 different countries. I got to go to like, except for Alaska, I got to go to every state and perform, you know what I mean? So the Good Life was like a dope, like a training ground to learn how to perform.
Were those the specific people that kind of took you under your wing and said, yo, man, like if you really want to try it this way, you know, you could move it to this way a little bit? Or
when I got there, Freestyle Fellowship was super big, and there was a crew called Hip Hop Clan, LA Cool, CVE, Funky Trend, Medusa, J5. Those were like the OGs. So then like when we came in, we just walked in and just started performing. And over the course of those first couple weeks, first couple months, CVE, Chillin' Villain Empire, my boy Fish and Rid and Hip Hop Clan, they took us under the wing. They put us in our first crew. It's called the Afterlife, and that was a Bus Driver, CVE, Hip Hop Clan.
I remember that
these cats called the East Side Bastards, and they, like I said, they had a studio in South Central on Normandy and 80th. And that's where we first started really just working a lot of music. That was my first like real crew.
Right.
Yeah.
So is Mexican descent just people of Mexican descent, or was it just
we had one black dude in the Mexican descent. We had a Mexican descent originally was myself, 2Mex, my boy Memo, rest in peace, my boy Rob 1, DJ Gonzo, Cholo Lancinco, and we had my boy Tamel, whose name was DJ Seamer, and he was black. He was the one black member of a Mexican descent. But you know, there's always a black dude in the Mexican gang. Yeah, there's always a Mexican dude in the black gang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, just like there's always a white boy in the Mexican gang. You know what I mean? So it was like So that was the original. Yeah, we were Mexican. I mean, we were just on some we were young, man. We were like 16, 17. So we were just on some Mexican pride. You know, 2Mex, my name derives from something so simple like too Mexican, like I'm too proud. You know, I was 16, my brain wasn't developed yet, and I was just very prideful. You know, our first couple of years, our group was kind of like, you know how the way Immortal Technique is right now?
Yeah.
That's the way when I first started rhyming and I was like 17, 18, I was very like that, very Chicano power, very revolutionary vibes. And then as I kind of like got older, I love hip hop so much, and hip hop is everything. Hip hop is braggadocio music, I'ma serve you music, I like women music, I'm dope as fuck. Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss, my bad. I'm dope as hell music. I'm dope as it, you know. So it was like a lot of you know, hip hop is so well rounded that, you know, I wanted to do everything.
Right.
So then I kind of got out of that box of just being a Chicano rapper and was into, you know, everything.
How was that looked upon when you were just strictly making that type of music?
When we first came out, there wasn't a lot of Mexican rappers. There was Kid Frost, Lighter Shade of Brown, Latin Alliance. There were the what I call
Chicano rap.
Yeah, what I call it the first generation of Chicano rap. Kid Frost is the OG. Lighter Shade of Brown, Slow Pain, all these other artists, all these like Thump Records artists and stuff like that. So there was like a first wave of Chicano rap, and I think we're more like the second wave. You know, the thing with the Mexican descent is that, and groups like Acid Rain and stuff like that, we were, as far as the Mexican descent was concerned, we weren't rapping about women and cars and stuff like that we didn't have. We were rapping about space and stars and the New World Order and government, and You know what I mean? So I kind of like, right off the top, I was very influenced by East Coast political hip hop.
Right.
KRS-One, X-Clan, Poor Righteous Teachers. I was a super duper hip hop head. I was reading the Source magazine every week. I was going to the swap meet and buying cassettes and records every week. I had I bought so many records at the swap meet that I actually had credit at the swap meet, bro. I had a job since I was 13. I had a job, so I was like, ever since I was 13, I was working, so I always had $50 on me, bro. I was always at the swap meet. So during the riots and all that, I had credit at the swap meet.
Right.
So back then, before the internet, the Source magazine, if it told you that some group was dope, you would go to the store and buy, or swap meet or store and buy it, and then you'd figure it out if you liked it or not. You know what I mean? It wasn't like the internet now, where everything's accessible for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, back then the artists had like a type of mystery to it. You know what
did.
I mean?
Yeah, they did totally. You would buy records back then, depending on what label they were on, because you trusted the label or didn't, or you would read the. You know, people don't know about this, but there's actually this thing called the liner notes, which when you buy a record or a cassette, there's like the thank yous and who produced it.
Oh yeah.
I read those.
Yeah.
Of course,
and I would buy records depending on who mixed and mastered it. If it said that Howie Weinberg mastered this record at Masterdisc, I would be like, he did a Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul, so maybe it might be dope. You know what I mean? You would be like, if the artists in the liner notes gave shout outs to groups, you might check them out, because that was really, word of mouth was the only way to do it back then. And that's how we came up, kind of like the Good Life and the Project Blowed was a word of mouth thing, and that's how we got out there.
It's crazy how it evolved, though, huh?
The internet's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's like you can just now I just look and find stuff that I never even knew existed. You know what I mean? Now we can just have it for free. So it's if I lived in the world where I could have everything for free, we would do the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just a different time.
Yeah. What is your opinion on the current state of hip hop when it comes to accessibility and people, not really have to do as much as you were doing within the 90s?
I think that hip hop's beautiful, man, because it belongs to everybody.
Exactly.
Hip hop belongs to everybody. This is the first generation where you could actually say, my dad was a DJ. Like, my dad was a graffiti artist. Before, you could say, my dad was a DJ with a job. Or my dad was a rapper, but he also works at Vaughn's. You know what I mean? Now it's like, my dad's an MC. My dad's a graffiti writer. My dad's my dad's a beat producer, this and that. So we live in a generation where now that hip hop belongs to everybody. And as somebody that's been to 23 countries around the world, it really does belong to everybody. It's like, it means different things to different people. And now it belongs to the world. Now kids grow up and they're 8 years old and they could rhyme like Micah 9 because they've been instilled, it's preconditioned in them to be smarter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like Swiss Beats Kid producing for Kendrick's album. You
right?
feel me?
Yeah, Kid Frost's kid.
He's a dope producer.
He produced something for Kendrick too. You know what I mean? Like I see Supernatural and some of these cats out here with their kids. You know what I mean? And it doesn't even have to be hip hop. If you know anything about the Loop Pack. The homie Wild Child's kid, he's an actor on that show Blackish.
Oh, word.
He's like the little kid on that show.
Okay.
And so hip hop is just so universal now that everything has its own time. Like the stuff that I was in love with, the '88 classic East Coast hip hop, the West Coast gangster hip hop, the new West Coast with Freestyle Fellowship, Far Side and the Hieroglyphics and Dell. Every movement, we had a movement with J5 and Visionaries and Dilated, and that movement still lives on, to some degree, So there's just constant. Hip hop belongs to the world now. So I think it's a beautiful thing. The thing for me is, a lot of people talk about the kind of hip hop I make, which is underground, and I try to make my stuff. Thank God I'm not cussing. I try to make my stuff smart, right?
Yeah.
So I try to make conscious, political, critical thinking hip hop. The thing is that in the last 10 years, the number one song pretty much for the last 10 years, the number one group, whether it's Outkast or Gnarls Barkley or Kanye West or Chance the Rapper or Odd Future or Kendrick Lamar, they've all been derivatives of underground hip hop. So the biggest artist, Childish Gambino, the biggest artists in the world are all always a derivative of hip hop artists. A lot of them are the derivative of underground hip hop. So to me, like, I know that, you know, when I see Kendrick Lamar or somebody that's not even in my crew doing good, I know that what I do is part of what the dopest stuff in the world is. So that's why I believe underground hip hop is always going to be strong, you know?
Yeah, because I remember when Kendrick was quote-unquote underground, Chance the Rapper was quote-unquote underground. I remember when people frowned at Tyler, the Creator's music, like, yo, like...
It wasn't even that long ago, too.
Yeah, it wasn't...
I like Tyler, the Creator's music.
dope.
I just don't like him. It's annoying. But I like Earl Sweatshirt.
Oh, yeah,
Earl
for sure.
Sweatshirt is super dope, you know?
Mm-hmm. So you became part... So when you went on... tour around all these different countries. What year was that? 1998, you said?
The first time I left the country on tour was 1997. The Visionaries, we did a 17-city tour in Japan, and we went to Hawaii. So then I was blessed to go on that. And then when I came back, when you do something like that, you know, you come back, and now you know, people start booking you for shows. You know, you start doing other stuff. And
gets around, you know.
Yeah, and once again, like because of Visionaries and because of Project Blood and The Good Life, I started going out by myself as Tumex to France, to Germany, to Amsterdam, to Austria, to Spain, Cuba, Japan, Korea. Man, I've been in a lot of spots. You know what I mean? I've been blessed to go. You know, Holland. I've been blessed to go, and so like. For that, my time period, as far as us really getting out there, was really like 98, 99 to 2003, 2004. That was like a golden era of let's say, Dilated, J5, Visuals, and groups of the like. You know what I mean?
What was one of the main lessons that you learned on the road? Because I've learned just being on the road with a certain amount of people, you learn something about yourself, and you learn something crucial about the people that you're with and who you need to bring on stuff like that.
Look, yeah, oh yeah. Don't bring anybody that's not appreciating what's going on. Have everybody try to be as strong-minded as possible, because we've had to kick people off tours. I've been on tours where like somebody's in jail. You know what I mean? Cats are like stuck in Europe. Cats blow all their money and they're like stuck in Europe. You know what I mean? I won't name names, but I've personally had to send money to some of my homies like to come home from Russia because they've been stuck. You know, cats be stuck out there. Like, I know what it's like, bro, to be stuck out. You know, life is crazy out there. But the one thing I learned more than anything was to really appreciate it, because you know what, you you blink and it could be over. You know what I mean? There's times where I was touring so much. I was just telling my homie earlier, I toured for 12 to 15 years solid. So there was a point where I was touring so much that, to be honest with you, I was like, Paris, whatever. Like, I literally didn't appreciate it. I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm tired. You know what I mean? There'd be times where now, like, let's say I went to Cuba for a week, and like I remember I went to Cuba for a week, and there was like 1 or 2 nights where I was like, I'm not going out, I'm chilling. And then now I'm like, are you kidding? I wish I could go back there. I'll be partying every night. You know what I mean? Like, you know, as you sometimes when you travel a lot, you don't really appreciate it. Maybe it's you're tired, or maybe, you know, whatever. But the one thing I learned is that there's a lot of places that I might not ever go back to, because, you know, I can go back there normally as a human, just going to visit, but then not to perform. You know what I mean? So some of the experiences are so rare that you just got to learn to appreciate and appreciate. Even if you like, to all you rappers out there, even if you go to Arizona, man, you go to Phoenix, you go to Frisco,
dope.
You go to Vegas. Appreciate it. You know what I mean? Because I'm doing it for all the cats that don't get to go. You know what I mean? There's a lot of cats that are way more talented than me, or just as talented, or way more talented, that don't get to touch what I got to touch. So I do it for them. You know, I try to represent LA hip hop, underground hip hop, and then to some degree, you know, Mexicans doing hip hop. You know, so it's like I try to rep for all the cats that can't make it out there.
I think Currency is one of those people too who appreciates the underground, because even though in a way he has a mainstream buzz, he always keeps it true to the underground, and always relies on his fans especially to put out the quality at all times.
Yeah, well, the thing that people don't know, I want to say what's up to my fans on IG Live. The one thing that people don't know is that your fans can actually like really support you. Like, you know what I mean? I was telling, you know, one of my albums was called My Fan Base Will Destroy You. and I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I used to come out to Riverside. I used to come out to San Bernardino. I used to play shows for 10 or 15 people. You know, nobody would be there. 15 people, 20 people would be there. And I used to come out here. One day, 10 or 12 years later, one of those 10 people came up to me and was like, yo, man, you always used to play shows out here. And that dude, for like 5 years, he funded my label, me and all my friends. He gave us about 450 racks. And he funded our whole label, everything, operations for 5 years. You know, that came and went, but it was beautiful. And it's like, my fan base will destroy you. You don't know when you're performing in front of 2 people. You don't understand that one person, you could affect their lives in a way where they might be able to support you and buy you a house. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. So
real.
It's like, you know, so if I perform in front of 5 people or 65,000, which I have before, it's like whether I'm rocking 65,000, 20,000, or 20, you got to come with the same energy. Because you never know who you're going to meet and how you're going to affect their lives and what beauty can come from it, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because Kid Capri said this in the interview. Like
I love Kid Capri.
Yeah, as artists, we talk about, oh man, I want to go here, I want this, I want people to notice me and all that. But once it starts coming, like you're saying, you don't appreciate it as much. You just kind of brush it off, and at one point, it's kind of like, you know, the blessings that you're asking for, you're just pushing away, and you're not even paying any mind to it or saying thank you or telling those people, yo, without you, I wouldn't be doing this and that, because like you said, they do support you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is the beauty is, okay, we're always trying to, you know, and I'm not going to lie, when I was younger and I used to work for the record industry. I worked at Columbia Records, DreamWorks, all this stuff. And like, I used to want to be, when I first started rapping, I was like, I'm going to get signed to Sony and yada, yada, yada. And there's this like dream that you have, like, I'm going to get paid, I'm going to get signed, I'm going to be famous. And to be honest with you, the beauty is in the journey. You know what I mean? Now that I look at it, I'm 45, and I've been rhyming and doing hip hop for 20-something years. The beauty is in the journey. The beauty is what's popping right now at the Elks Lodge. The beauty is the open mic ciphers that y'all do, whether there's 100 people there or 1,000. The beauty is in the studio making music with your friends, because the time is going to come that you're not going to be able to do that, because you guys are all older. People die. People have kids. People get married. People quit the game because they got to work. Not everybody makes cheese at this. You know what I mean? So it's like dedications levels change. So you know, that's what's important, is the journey. You know, when I think about the few moments I've had that were pretty big, or like being on TV or whatever, those moments are cool, but the real moments were being in the studio with the visionaries, making the albums, working with the Shapeshifters as friends, partying and hanging out with my real friends, you know, making art and making people happy. That's why I'm on the internet a lot, because I talk to people directly a lot, and I like to still try to make people happy. I play backyard parties for my fans. I do custom songs.
Yeah, I was gonna say the custom.
I make songs for my fans. Like, if you're a fan and you want me to make a song about your girl, how beautiful she is, or your kids or whatever, man, pay me a little dough. I'll make something for y'all. Like, you know what I mean? I try to work with the people that support me. You know what I'm saying?
And you have your own radio station too, right?
I used to have a really dope internet radio station called 2Mex Hologram. That was 24 hours of underground hip hop. I had 1,000 dope songs programmed in there. We were doing that for a minute. Me and my friends do have a website called platformcollection.com, which is it's a podcast network.
Shout out to the homies at Platform Collection.
And me and those brothers, we got a podcast network, and they've got about 8 shows on there. I used to have a show on K-Day 2 years ago and last year, for one time for 27 weeks and one time for like 10 weeks. I had a show on K-Day. So, you know, I'm always trying to like play underground music. I'm always trying to promote conscious hip hop, because I think that kids don't read anymore. I think that there needs to be a balance with the ignorant music that's out. I'm not here to diss or bash all of it.
It is what it is.
It is, yeah.
It is what it is, but it doesn't have to be. You know what I mean? We can't.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's got to be a balance. Like, kids don't read anymore. You know what I mean? It's like the only thing that upsets me about the new stuff that's about the ignorant music is that what it is that because 1 out of every million kids that does blow up, you know, let's say 50 out of a million, right? So there's 50 ignorant rappers making millions out there, and the thing is that it shows 50 million kids, it gives them the false perception that they can make millions not having to read, not having to put in work, not having to make things that are that have longevity, you know, without disrespecting too much. So let's say like a Little Pump, Gucci Gang, right? Gucci Gang, whatever that song is. That song is like microwave popcorn. That song has no longevity. Whereas Stevie Wonder's Isn't She Lovely is going on 60 years of making people happy and cry. And in 100 years, Stevie Wonder's Isn't She Lovely is still going to make people cry.
Yeah.
Because it has substance.
Exactly.
Whereas other songs are going to fall by the wayside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and it's a proven fact because in the early 2000s, I worked at the record labels, and like 95 to 2003, the whole kind of R&B hip hop movement with the Ja Rule and all that Def Jam stuff and all that Def Jam West and all that. A lot of that stuff, while people do love to dance to it and stuff like that, a lot of that music has no longevity, and it just doesn't have any like.
Ja Rule's not making no new music.
I mean, it's all good. I'm not dissing, but I'm just saying, like, you know, I just come from a world where I want to make something that's immortal. You know what I mean? I want to make music that 50 years from now people still like, and I know I'm doing the right thing because people that like my music, they got my face tatted on them. You know what I mean? I got supporters, man. I got people that got mad love for me, and you know what I mean. I'm still here. You know what I mean? As long as fools are making ignorant music, and someone like myself still has a job.
Yeah.
Feel me?
You need both in this world.
You need both.
Yeah. Like, if you have a group of people listen to a Little Pump Gucci Gang song, they're not going to know. But if you play Keep Your Head Up, a Tupac song, a 5-year-old will know this, a 20-year-old will know this, a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, 50-year-old, you know?
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
and you
simple.
know, and it's all love, though. And it's all love, though, man. To all these artists out here, make your money, dude. Like, if you can mine, you know, mind trip people into buying your stuff and you make millions, God bless you, bro. Make money. Feed your kids, buy a house, do whatever you need to do. It's all love. I'm not hating on anybody making anything ignorant. I'm just saying there's got to be a balance. That's all.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, parents, raise your kids and let them know, you know, what's what. Let them know. Go ahead and listen to Little Pump, but let
I've
them
been
know
drunk.
what
Hey,
they're
man,
listening to, you know?
I've been drunk at a club with the ladies shaking their booties, and I'm like, oh, I understand.
Exactly.
I get it, bro.
This is what it's here for.
Hey, man, I think it's already been a couple years, but I was in Miami at one of those Miami spots in the middle of the night, like, oh yeah, I see what's popping.
2 Live Crew.
Always, man. I know what's up, man. All that music is like stripper music, or you know what I mean. It's like music for, you know, I won't say music for dummies, but it's music to dance to. Strippers got to get paid. You know what I'm saying?
And DJs have to play it.
Hey, man, it makes people dance.
Yeah.
It's music for the body.
Every
not for the
time I
mind.
diss, every time I diss one of these songs, the next day I'll be like at the bus stop and there's like a 5-year-old dancing to it. So I'm like, hey, it's making somebody happy.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. You know what I mean?
I
ain't mad.
Hey, man. Everyone listen to C-tempo music because A-tempo music throws you off. Throws your frequency is off.
Hey, a lot of it is frequencies. You know what I mean? They're masters of frequencies, bro. They're masters of frequencies. You know, that's why some things. Hey, I've spent the better part of 10 days walking around like, Kiki, do you love me? You know what I mean? Like, I can't stop saying it, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I can't stop seeing it, and I can't stop saying it. So it's like, you know what I mean? And it's not a bad song, but I'm just saying, like, you know, all of it has its purpose. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So I like to make stuff that's for more, you know, my stuff necessarily isn't danceable stuff, but it's more like thinking stuff. You know what I mean? I want to make something like, I'm trying to make something, you know, for, you know, that can be passed on, you know, that has a little more longevity. I like to say things that nobody says. I want to use new words. I want new phrases. You know what I mean? I don't want to say it's lit or stay woke or whatever. I want to like create a new verbiage of people that say things that different. I want to say new stuff. You know what I mean? There's a lot of words out here that we're not using.
There's a lot of words in the dictionary. In the English
I was just going to say, there's been songs that I've listened to of yours that where I get like, hold up, what did he say? I got to go look that up because I'm not sure what that means. And that's, you know, like you said, you make music
that's
for
the
people
goal.
like that,
there you
know?
go. Yeah. Because De La Soul, groups like De La Soul, groups like Camp Low, there's a lot of real dope groups that talk in code. And I've always, as a big fan of hip hop, as an example, De La Soul, you know, they used to say stuff all the time. And I was like, what does the swing and locate mean? What does the daisy age mean? What is the... And then I would listen. And then I'd be like, the swing and locate. Oh, everybody do the baseball. I was like, oh, they're talking about sex. Oh, like swing and locate. Swing your thing. You know, like, so even though it was on that level, I was like, oh, I get it. You know, Camp Low, You know, Camp Low, bro. I mean,
They're
Camp
dope,
Low, bro.
yeah, Camp Low.
Camp Low speaks in they speak
Their
in
whole-
code,
yeah, their whole
but they're on a
language.
whole. There's a reason it's called Camp Low. If you know, they're like they say crazy stuff, bro.
Yeah,
like
Lucchini.
That's when I listened to Razzcast Soul on Ice album.
One of
I
my
was
favorites,
like,
one of the greatest, bro.
I was like, he's making me go fish in the books, in the
Hey,
internet.
man, one of the greatest. Razzcast is one of the greatest. He's a goat, man. Like, dude, Razzcast. Oh, I control English like Margaret Thatcher. I mean, he says so much stuff that's dope. You know what I mean? He said, you know, he says so much stuff, dude. Like he says, I got Chino's back like a door. So he just constantly says all this stuff that's so like deep and that's what I love. I love when Pharoah Monch.
Oh yeah.
I like when rappers, you know, I like when rappers say something that, you know, Freestyle Fellowship, ACLO, and all those dudes. I like rappers that say things that make me go reach for my book or go read. What is that? What is he talking about? And then you figure it out, you know, and you know, Tribe Called Quest, you know, they would say stuff, and then I would go to New York and be like, oh, this is what they're talking about because I'm finally on the street. You know, Linden Boulevard represent. I'm like, oh, I'm on Linden. Oh, it's a neighborhood right here in Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
It's real. I got homies that pray 7 days a week and still carry a tray 5'7".
Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I love when an artist says something that's so deep, it makes you think, and you're just like, oh, you know. Let me tell you something, man. I'll tell you something real quick, and this is why I love hip hop. Rocka from Dilated Peoples. When my boy, a friend of mine named Rob One, DJ for the Shapeshifters, passed away, graffiti artist CBS. Rob One passed away, right? And we were at his funeral, and it was an open casket, and we were in line to say bye to him one last time. And everybody was putting things inside of his casket. And me, I had a wristband that my mom had gave me that had my name on it that I put in his casket. Rocka from Dilated, he put a cassette in Rob One's casket, and it was back then when their first album, The Platform, had came out. So he had put the advanced copy, it wasn't even out yet. He put the advanced copy of the album inside Rob's casket. Fast forward 10 years later, I'm listening to a Dilated People remix, and he says, I buried Rob One with the copy of Platform. So when you go to heaven, your homie play that for him.
Damn.
And that was like, he put the Platform in the casket. You know what I mean? I buried Rob One with a copy of Platform. So when you go to heaven, your homie play that for him. That is hip hop to me.
That gave me chills when you said that.
Yo, bro, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, as a purist and somebody that loves the art, that's what I'm talking about. That's like, to me, I tell that story all the time because to me, that was one of the illest stories. You know, and to be a continuation of that, one time Rocka, who always, because Dilated Peoples was on Capitol Records and Rocka was always balling, Rocka would always kick me down because I was a poor kid. Rocka, being one of my best friends, every year would kick me down with free shoes and stuff like that. We were the same shoe size. So he'd kick me down with kicks and clothes all the time. One time he kicked me down with the dopest sweater. I call it the ultimate hip hop sweater. It was the greatest sweater in hip hop history. It was a hoodie with a zip up, and it had every label. It had Wu-Tang Clan, Beatnuts, Tribe Called Quest, Freestyle Fellowship, Souls of Mischief, Hieroglyphics, every record label logo and every dope group, Mobb Deep. You know, everything, right? Eminem, everything. It was the dopest sweater I've ever seen. It barely fit me because I was fat, so I never wore it. But I took it with me on a tour when I lost weight. I left that sweater. I recorded a song after a show with these dudes. I left that sweater in these dudes' house, and I left it, right? A year or two later, I see these dudes somewhere at a show, and I'm like, oh, what up, man? And my homie walks up on me. I'm like, you know, I'm going to ask you about my sweater. Like, you know, you got my sweater? And he goes, hey, man, I just want to tell you, like, our homie, the biggest graffiti writer in the city, he passed away, and he was the guy that put us up, everybody in the city. I think it was Modesto, California. He's like, he put everybody in Modesto up on Underground, and he goes, I hope you don't mind, but we buried him in that sweater. And I was like, nah, you're good.
Damn.
And that sweater, you know what I mean?
That's
like that,
crazy.
you know what I mean? Like, it's like hip hop means that much to them that they put him in that sweater because that was the ultimate hip hop sweater. And that's how much they love the culture. And that's how much I love the culture, and that's how much Rocka loves the culture, and we all love this culture. Or else you wouldn't be here playing records right now in a station that only goes like 30 miles. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
Because we love this. You know, that's why we're here, bro. All of us in our own way.
Hip hop is a lifeline, you
For
know
sure.
what I'm saying?
For sure it is, you know?
I love it. And you also have a show coming up too.
Yeah, man. That's one of the reasons I'm here is I'm throwing a big show Saturday night, July 28th, at the world famous Glass House in Pomona. A great venue, classic punk rock and hip hop, underground hip hop venue. I used to always rock it. All ages hip hop show, July 28th. We got Sick Jackin' from Psycho Realm. To all our Psycho Realm fans out there, Sick Jackin's headlining. We got the Shapeshifters, which is a classic LA underground hip hop crew, graffiti crew, hip hop crew, and we got my first band ever of Mexican descent. We haven't played a show in 3 years. We're playing with a live band. We got a full band called Calle Placer from East LA, and we got Filiano and we got MC Life. Man, I had to put my boy Life on there at the last minute because I seen him putting in so much work. He's been putting in so much work, and he's so dedicated to real hip hop that I was like, man, I got to put Life on this. You know what I'm saying? I had one more slot open, and I put MC Life on there because I appreciate his grind. He's grinding. He's grinding. He's grinding on music. He's grinding on hip hop in general. He's grinding on his game with the, on his the game out there with the sesh life.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say we, but you know what I mean. But you know what I mean.
Can say that.
I'm over here. I got my brain on no cuss mode. So I'm like trying to be nice. I'm
PG
I'm
mode
pretending I'm talking to people's parents. But yeah, you know what I mean. So it's July 28th. It's all ages. You can get your tickets right now, $20 on ticketfly.com. Go to ticketfly.com and get it, or you can get them at the door, $25 at the door. And earlier this week we just closed out this VIP thing. We had $50 VIPs, which is the ticket and a custom shirt that's really kick-ass, and a gift bag that I'm actually about to sweat some more of my cannabis community people. I want to give people a nice super dope gift bag with some nice edibles and some J's and some loveliness. So I'm gonna be sweating all my cannabis community to put. I got 40 bags to make, so help me fill out these 40 bags for the VIPs. But yeah, man, it's going down though. Saturday, all ages. Doors open at 7. Show probably ends at like 12:30. It's gonna be dope.
And with these VIP bags, no booth pre-rolls, everybody. Only fire.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, no disrespect,
I got
but
some
we won't smoke them.
I threw a word out there, and I've already got like 3 or 4 companies that are like, what you need? We got you. So I'm making the shirts hopefully tomorrow. And then, yeah, man, just, my people from Shadow Hand Collective, I've got this record label that help fund our projects and stuff. They're called Shadow Hand Collective. What's up to Sky? And what's up to Moses and Dago? And yeah, man, I'm out. That's why I was just at Temecula, California. So yeah, man, I'm just chilling.
Right on. Well, we do appreciate you coming down,
Appreciate y'all too, man. Yeah, man, no, it's all love, man. I got nothing but love for y'all, man. So I appreciate y'all always looking out, man. It's like I be up here sometimes, and I appreciate y'all.
Yeah,
definitely. Much love, bro.
Word up.
And shout out to all our listeners out there. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Once again, this is IE Radio. If you don't remember, he just said this Saturday at the Glass House, you want to go ahead and get your tickets on Ticketfly, or you can get them at the door. It's an all-age show. Sick Jackin' for all the psychos out there will be the headliner. You got a Mexican descent with the live band, the Shapeshifters, and the homie MC Live, so you guys don't want to miss out.
Filiano from Long Beach, from Disciples of the Sick. It's going to be dope, man.
It's going to be a dope show. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, the Music Lounge 710. All the vendors out there. You heard 2Mex. He's trying to put some gift bags together for the show.
I want to give some shout-outs, too, real quick. Can I give a quick shout-out?
Go ahead.
Adam's Edibles. I want to Transcend Concierge and everybody helping me through the show. Appreciate y'all.
Much love to y'all. Shout out to our other sponsor, Puff Sauce, the medicated cannabis-infused syrup. And shout out to Serious Cartoons Records, the only record store in the city of San Bernardino. Go ahead and follow all their pages. And you want to shout out your social media stuff?
Yeah, man, I'm mostly on IG. So it's 2Mex, 2MEX, OMD. OMD stands for Mexican Descent. And yeah, man, check me out on IG. I'm a savage. I'm a meme maker. I'm a professional meme maker, and I'm also a grief counselor after 2 a.m. So I got a lot of people that I do everything. I do a little bit of everything. So hit me up, 2Mex OMD on IG, and yeah, man, come out, ticketfly.com, man. Come see all my Psycho Realm people. I know if you're picking up this signal, you like, and you about this hip hop, you like Psycho Realm, and come see Sick Jack and destroy it.
Right on, y'all. You heard it. Once again, my name is Heavy the Homie.
I'm Nappy 2000.
every Tuesday. You can hear us here on KCAA Radio. This is IE Radio. Much love, y'all. Peace.
Word up.
When they bump it in the Jeeps, it's gon' rock right. True. In the streets, it's gon' rock right. True. At a show, it's gon' rock right. True. Here we go with the butters, boo. You know how we do. When they bump it in the Jeeps, it's gon' rock right. In the streets, it's gon' rock right. At a show, it's gon' rock right. Here we go with the butters, boo. You know how we do.
Landscaping and mentally shaping. Looking at my Gucci, it's about that time. Represent my peoples on the Illidale side. Live like my 93 phone vibe. I used imagination like Han Solo. Master like Vic with the offbeat flow. A lady like me in stereo. Rap was way back at the plat was super bad disco. Used to do the freak, the Patty Duke and Gigolo. After midnights on the weekend. Oh, you remember we 3D with Study B. Enough respect go to a vet money. PSK, Miz on pause delay. You see Jewel D rock ride the chords fade. Reach from the bottom, discombobable belay. Sharon was the break if you was digging in the crates.
When they bump it in the Jeeps, it's gon' rock right. True. In the streets, it's gon' rock right. True. At a show, it's gon' rock right. True. Here we go with the butters, boo. You know how we do. When they bump it in the Jeeps, it's gon' rock right. In the streets, it's gon' rock right. At a show, it's gon' rock right. Here we go with the butters, boo. You know how we do.
You tuned in.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
From the high desert and the great American Southwest, and pumping out to you loud and crystal clear from sea to shining sea, and all the way from pole to freezing pole, and everywhere there is in between. It is always my honor and great pleasure to welcome you to the Kingdom of Nye. I am your host this evening, Heather Wade, and by the way, I really appreciate you tuning in tonight. Thank you, all of you, for tuning in tonight. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Before we really get the show started tonight, we've got a lot to talk about. And, well, I've got a guest for you this evening. Paul Sinclair is going to be joining us all the way from the UK tonight. And does he ever have a whole lot in the paranormal world to tell you? Probably in the area of cryptids, but also in the area of just the plain old-fashioned unexplained. But before we bring on my good friend, Paul Sinclair, oh boy, do we ever have a lot of housekeeping to do. Yeah, we really got to get to that. All right, so let's get started on all of that. By the way, I'm really excited to bring on Paul Sinclair tonight. He's got a lot. I mean, he's got some stories to tell that really are going to keep you up at night. And isn't that what we're here for? I thought that's what we're here for. So anyhow, let's get into this housekeeping. You probably heard a little something different come out of my mouth tonight, and yes, you did. Let me explain what has gone on over the last about 24 hours or so, maybe a little more, give or take, what have you. Looks like our team over here and all of us over here took another hit. You know, it just seems like we keep taking them. Our website, artbelllegacy.com, was taken down, and it is now back up. And, well, I've been given some kind of reason, like I have no cause, no right whatsoever to be using the name Midnight in the Desert. And so it really pained me a great deal. You know, I hardly have the words to really explain how painful that is. To, well, I hate to really say it out loud. I really, really do. To choose another name or to pick another name, it's just not that simple. You know, I know a lot of people out there have been telling me this. Just pick another name. Come on, be done with it. Well, you know, this time it isn't really just a name, but here we are. We are now the Kingdom of Nye, all right, with Heather Wade, and I think that is going to work for us. And I also think if you go to artbelllegacy.com, you will see for yourself that I think that now is the time to raise that pirate flag. Now is exactly the time because, look, we took a big hit over the last 24 hours, but we are back and we are here. As promised, I did let everybody know on my personal Facebook page yesterday, in lieu of a website, that I would be back on the air live tonight, and so here we are. I will not let all of you down. I won't let my guests down. I just won't do it. There's too many people that have helped to get this machine running again to let everybody down. So we did. We took a hit, and we fell down. It knocked the wind out of me, but here we are. We're back up on that horse. And I want to explain exactly why it's not just any old name. Midnight in the Desert. I can say Midnight in the Desert on the air. What are you going to do? Take me to talk show host jail or something? But let's just go over a little tiny bit of history here if we can. If you'll indulge me for just a second. And by the way, it is really good to be here. It's a little surreal, all of this. But let's go over a little bit of history. So once upon a time, there was a talk show host who really got tired of talking about politics on the air. He wanted to do a little something different, and when he did that something different, he saw and he noticed right away that there were a lot of people out there also interested in talking about these very strange subjects that do go bump in the night. And he decided